Recently, folks met at the library to discuss how best to serve the growing population of homeless in Hagerstown. Let's find out where our panelists believe the responsibility to serve the homeless lies, and what impact, if any, does the homeless population have on downtown redevelopment. Jim?
So, you know, in my mind, and what I have heard from many, and what I've observed, is we have a lot of programs for the homeless. We do a pretty good job, I think.
That's the reason why we have so many homeless.
Well, that's right. I was going to say we import homeless.
We do.
I'm told, from Baltimore and other places.
Farther away than that.
Because we do such a great job with working with the homeless.
So are we a magnet?
And we do have a concentration in the city center.
Well, not in the city center. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the services are there, okay? But if you look for them on any given day when those services aren't open, they aren't in the city center. All right, they're in the woods out by City Park or someplace else. They aren't in the city center itself.
Colin, are we a magnet?
I believe so, and I think there's a number of factors that lead to that. I mean, the availability of services certainly is one of them. Okay. But there is a certain draw, and it's not just for the homeless, it's also for other folks who are on kind of on the lower end of the economic spectrum because of those programs, also because of the prisons. So we can't sugarcoat that particular aspect of it. I think as with anything, the programs that are offered have to serve the purpose of helping people get on their feet, because otherwise any sort of a handout that doesn't result in producing a productive member of society then is going to breed some sort of abuse or is going to bring people in that we don't want in.
At the cold weather shelter, one of the things that that I've witnessed anyway is the fact that a lot of people who go to the cold weather shelter, they have wake-up times because they need to get to work. Okay, so these are the working poor who are homeless that we're talking about that go there. A lot don't work either, but a significant amount of them do. And in 2007, we did a homeless coalition here in Hagerstown, and a lot of people attended, and a lot of different partners were involved. And one of the things that we found is that many of the homeless don't want to be in shelters or be taken care of because they have mental issues, and that's how they are. Period. It doesn't matter. I mean, you aren't going to change that no matter what you do with them. And the majority of homeless did not want to. One of the things that were suggested was to issue an ID, because everybody needs an ID. Okay, issue an ID card, so that when they went and they had services, we could track them and see where they're getting their services and what their services are and what we could do better and what we could do without and things like that. Never got off the ground.
ACLU beat you up on that.
Yes,
I bet.
yes. Oh, I did. I got beat up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, and that's okay, but it taught me a lesson.
Sure.
Okay. You know, I learned a lot about homelessness, which was good, but you know, it did teach me some things. I always tell a story about the time that this woman and her husband were thrown out of the library. You know, she called my office. She complained. I had her come up. She met with me and the then Chief Art Smith, and in my office, and we started to hash out about what had happened and why she had gotten thrown out. And she said that her and her husband lived separately during the warm months. He goes to West Virginia. She goes to North Carolina. Okay, but in the winter months, they come back together as husband and wife in Hagerstown, so that they can get the benefits of husband and wives.
Sure. And
I said, wait a minute. 7 months out of the year, you're not together, married, but you come back for 5 months a year, so you can
in the colder months
to come here for the benefits. She said, oh yeah.
Jim,
I was actually at I mean, I was just sat there. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, really?
Jim,
you come back to Hagerstown for that?
In 2010.
Oh, apparently we're a magnet.
I'm not sure what the number is now. There were over 600 not-for-profits registered in Washington County, Maryland, and
Every bit of it.
A pretty good portion of them deal with providing services to the underprivileged, the poor, the homeless. What's the deal here? I mean, is there some way that, as Bob had suggested, is a coalition of some of these that maybe we do a better job of providing services.
And how many of those are duplicated too?
Well, that's it. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's one of the other things that we found is that, we were talking about food pantries and those kind of things. And one thing that I found just totally hilarious was that, 3 different places were serving breakfast within a few blocks of each other.
Right.
So so a guy would actually go eat one place, go up the street to another place and eat or take food or whatever, and then go to another place. And the same was happening at lunch and at dinner. And I was like, wait a minute. Sure. Why aren't we pooling our resources? Because our cupboards were getting bare back then. Why don't we pool our resources, have one place provide the breakfast? I mean, like I said, they're all within the general area.
Right.
Another place provide the lunch, and another place provide the dinner.
But that's difficult because, each of the churches that perform that kind of service want to have their own control. They want to say, we do this. They don't want
the
to
key
say
word there.
Control.
Control.
Oh, no, I get that. And,
Exactly.
It's
but the
a
churches were
problem.
the same ones who were complaining about not having enough food in their pantries.
Well, I get that, but I don't think you can do something county-wide in one location. You could have multiple locations throughout the county.
We're not talking about county.
I think we're talking
the
about city.
reality,
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about
the reality
within a
is,
4-block
we
area.
looked. The United Way several years ago did that community study, if you remember.
Oh,
It
yes,
was
indeed.
a huge effort, and it covered a lot of different facets, everything from employment to basic
The
services.
healthcare to everything.
Right,
Yeah.
everything.
Sure.
And I think some good things came out of that. But there again, it's another report that's laying on the shelf that
Yeah,
I
what
don't
has
think
happened with it, right?
really has gotten the traction that it needs to.
Jim, that's an absolutely great point. Colin, let me throw it over to you. We had this wonderful report. We have these 600 nonprofits. Not a lot of cohesion and collaboration among them, but I did a study, just desktop study, looked at those 600 not-for-profits. I found very few that had a goal for getting homeless people a job or in a home or anything like that. So is that the answer, Colin?
We're enabling.
Well, okay, yeah, very great work.
We are.
Great
We are.
work.
And I think that dovetails on something that I was saying a little bit earlier, that the programs need to be focused towards making people succeed. And as Bob said, some of these people have mental issues. They're much deeper seated things that are going on that aren't easily fixed through job training or anything like that. I think that we need, when you have all these organizations that are performing the same tasks, there's a lot of duplication. We don't want to necessarily have the government or some sort of entity be involved in coordinating, but almost setting up some sort of a framework under which they can cooperate. So even the idea of having multiple organizations within the community who want to serve the homeless, if we offer them some sort of a venue where they still can take ownership of the fact that they're doing it, but we can also control to make sure that somebody is not walking block to block and getting the same services from multiple places, would be more efficient. And the reality is, I think, as you said, we have our shelters filled with people who are working poor. So they are living in a shelter, but they have a job. There's something morally wrong with that notion, that somebody who is putting in an effort and is working is not able to afford to live. And there are other issues involved with it. Obviously, there's drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and things of that nature. But I think you're absolutely right.
Circumstances that cause homelessness.
Well, I know that served on the library board for a number of years, and I know one of the issues, and of course, as I said in the introduction, there was a conference held at the library. One of the reasons behind that is the library has become essentially during the cold weather months has become somewhat of a daycare center for the homeless because
it's warm.
The warm and it's a big facility as far as that's concerned.
During this homeless coalition that we had, we looked at a day center. We put some numbers together, and $500,000 to begin in doing what we thought was the right pathway, which was to be able to have the services that we help people with resumes and we give them internet access, which the library had. Yeah, remember that? You guys were going to donate some stuff for us, and so I mean, but $500,000. And I mean, that just was a number that we couldn't overcome.
Well, I'd like to see
not at all at one time.
Personally, I'd like to see the churches get back and more involved in some of this with solutions and stuff like that. Well, now we're going to have to go. Maybe this is a topic we'll come back to later.
Cold weather time.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. Stay tuned, because in 3 minutes we'll be back to discuss the best restaurants in Washington County. Stay tuned.